right, so the next step, we're going to be cutting this fuel line to length. And if you can see, I've taped off right about where I want to cut it, because when you do that, you'll keep this steel braided part from fraying too bad. So wear your gloves to keep your hands from getting stuck by the steel, and safety glasses. Safety first. Let's cut. There we go. Hello. Beautiful day to be working on the car. Even though I'm in the garage here, I've got the door open, neighbors mowing grass, blowing with his blower. Just got through taking out this rear fuel system. A little easier than I thought, and I think I'm going to be in pretty good shape. So let me show you what we've got here. All right, so here we see we've got the fuel pump here. This is the hose that goes into the in-tank fuel filter. So I've got a brand new hose for that. Gonna reuse the fuel pump. Already have the AN fittings converted to the input for the fuel pump. So I've got a line replacing this. I'm sorry, this is the output. My mistake. So this is a hard line that looks like was custom bent for this purpose, but I have went back to the factory line, so I'll see how that works. Since this is converted to an AN fitting, that'll be interesting. I'll have to see. We'll have to see how that works. Anywho, so that is gonna lead to the fuel filter, the external fuel filter, which I have fittings to adapt that directly. So I've got the factory fitting that goes from the pump to the filter, and I've adapted this side of the fuel filter to AN so that we can run steel braided lines all the way to the hard lines. These are the fittings that were on there. They actually worked pretty well. They served their purpose, but I'm going to be converting that to AN. And then here, the other one just runs all the way through. See, the other one has the same type of fitting here, and that's the return line that just runs back to a regular hose. So I'm going to replace that with steel braided line as well. So I'll show you the replacements when I'm done making those hoses. Okay, here's the finished product. We'll start with the return line. So as you can see on the top, we've got the old return line, this black hose, all the way throughout. It's been replaced with steel braided fuel line, AN fittings. And I will show you how I tapped into the factory hard lines, converted them to AN so that this will plug right in. Now we go to the main line, the pressurized line. Once again, coming from the hard lines that run to the engine compartment, I've converted that line to a 6 AN fitting, steel braided line to the fuel filter. I've adapted the fuel filter to be able to receive an AN fitting, and that's replacing this cheap little junk aftermarket filter that I was going with here, and also replacing, as you can see, this line has been spliced together. It wasn't leaking there, but it's probably just not the ideal situation. And this makeshift hard line that it looks like it was custom made and bended, adapted the fuel pump to AN fittings, which I kind of just overlooked when I was doing all of this, and didn't realize that the fuel pump is missing the fitting to be able to bring it back to the stock connection hose, which I got here. It goes to the fuel filter, brings the fuel pump into the fuel filter pressurized. I got this factory replacement here. Pretty good deal, actually. If you're in the market for one, let me know, and I'll show you where to get it. But what I didn't realize is that obviously I could have adapted this to AN, and just had AN to AN. And they've got banjo fittings and everything for AN, so you could still use the check valve and whatnot. I just didn't realize it, so went ahead and spent the money to get the factory replacement. Oh well, you know, you live, you learn. So looked around, couldn't really find what was supposed to go in there to get it to this size. So I figured this looks like probably the original fuel pump, 32 years old now. I just went ahead and got another one. So I've got it on the way, new fuel pump, which should have the factory fitting that I can connect this into, and then just my regular hose that goes to the gas tank, which has the in-tank fuel strainer, which I bought a replacement for and should be on its way as well. Or did I? I can't remember. I might have ordered a new one. I can't remember if I did or not. If not, then I'll just keep going with the one I've got. It would be easy to replace. So that's it. That's the new setup that I've got. It's taken me a while to put it together and get everything ordered, because I just want it to be correct. I want it to be safe and reliable, and I believe that I have accomplished that. So I will show underneath how I adapted the hard lines to AN, and it wasn't hard at all, very easy. So give me just a second, we'll switch over. Okay, so what you see here is actually the hard lines that I have put AN female fittings on. So this right here, this is a tube cutter. So basically it's pretty much a clamp that loosens and tightens. So you put the tube inside this part right here, clamp down on it, and once you get it a little snug on there, you spin it around. I spun it around 2 times for good measure. Then you tighten it a little bit more. Then you spin it around, and you keep tightening and spinning, and eventually you get a beautiful, clean cut like this. So that's what I did. I cut the flared end off so that I could use a fitting like this, an AN fitting. This is called a compression fitting because it has this little valve in here that helps you get a high pressure seal. So I will show you. This is just an extra that I have here because one of them ended up being smaller than the other, so I had to get a different size. So what we do, so this all comes apart. So this part here, this kind of bullet shaped one, it goes onto the tube first, and then we take the little ring, slide it over top, and then we take the last piece, the fitting, and we bring it onto the end. And what we want to do Let me see if I can get this back a little further. We want to bring this, make sure that this comes back as far as it can. And then we bring this part forward and screw it on. Get it hand tight. And then we're going to tighten it up. Okay, so now I've got the 3/4 wrench. That should be good. Nice and tight. Should be leak free. Okay. So, looks like this one's probably going to be a different size up here. Sure is. But I think I've got that wrench right here. Oh, wait a minute. We need to make sure that this is seated properly on here before we go tightening it down too much. So, okay, so here we see we have our little sleeve. Got this part. We want to make sure that this comes back as far as it can. And then we bring this up to tighten it on. There we go. I'm good with that. All right. Looks like it's good and tight. Now, we've got our 2 female fittings coming off the hard lines. Perfect. So now, we're going to see if we can snap this little booger back into place here. That keeps them nice and organized. Come on, let's see. Let's give it a little tappy tap. Make sure that it is secure. Yeah, it's good to go. So now we are ready to tighten. Ooh, those are awful close to each other. I guess they'll come apart so that I can tighten them up. I do wish that they were a little further apart, but that'll work. So, I've got the, I don't know which one's the return. The return line's probably the smaller one here, and the bigger one is the pressurized line. So I'll have my hoses, my new AN fitting hoses that will have an adapter that goes from a coupler, basically a male-to-male coupler. One will go in this female end, the other will go in the female end of that hose. I will run them up over the transaxle and back to the gas tank, and we'll be ready to go. So in the next video, you'll see me installing them
and then we'll be a little bit closer to digging back into the timing.